When you watch A24 films, they have a certain feeling to them. The cinematography, music, production design, something about them just feel different from what most mainstream legacy film companies are doing. In one word, it's a vibe. And this isn't exclusive to A24. Companies also like Neon or Elevation fit within this category as well. Films like Longlegs, Iron Claw, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Moonlight put together make the budget around $10 million-ish for each of these films. And this allows to make ambitious movies without having the company be all over the creative process. Needless to say, $10 million is still out of my budget, but I wanted to try and see if I could make something that felt like an A24 film. We've got this amazing big warehouse, Evil Empire Studios in Hamilton set us up, and we're gonna be doing a lot of our principal photography in here. And action. What we did was we took what our favorite things from A24, Elevation, and Neon are doing and distilled down the top qualities. So in this video, we're gonna dive into those 4 top qualities, but before we begin, how did we even make a movie with a bit of a budget? Well, it starts with a lens. This company, Dezio, sent me a bazillion lenses to do a promo for their new Pavo anamorphic lenses so they could premiere them at NAB. So first, I had to pitch them a short film, but I didn't just pitch them one film, I pitched them 2 movies. One that focused the lens specifically, making it a character within the piece, and the other being the short film, Rogue Wave, a movie about 2 girls who build a music machine that creates frequencies that are like heroin. We'll get more to that in a bit. Obviously, they wanted the short film focused on their lenses, so we set out and shot 2 in the same weekend.
I heard a frequency from the future. It moved in a way I couldn't stop.
Welcome to our last and final day of shooting Current Tidal Frequencies. Every time I say it, but our short film. Dave, what is a gaffer?
So I rig the lights, point the lights, move stuff around, all the fun stuff.
Making a film is made up of creativity and compromises, and creativity really thrives on compromises because you're actually stepping outside of your comfort zone with what you thought of what you should have. This space was a bit of a compromise, but I think our team's doing a pretty damn good job making it look epic. Now let's dive into some of the key categories of making a film feel like the ones that we see on the big screen or maybe mini screen. So what are concepts that work within these banners? I kind of noticed that they are small worlds with big concepts. So typically a lot of these films circulate in 1 to 2 major locations with sort of some background stuff, and we did that with Our Space. But the number one thing that these films do is they have one big set piece that can tell the story. You can usually find that within a lot of these films. It gives the movie production value, and sometimes it's multiple set pieces, but those pieces, they tell the story and they're part of the poster shot. So think of Iron Claw with the boxing arena, Hereditary with the home, or Midsommar with the cult space. You can even dial it into specific props versus set pieces, or what they're wearing, their wardrobe. But using stuff that has visual indicators that explain the genre quickly was something else we wanted to implement. If you think about a movie, 50% of your wide frames is either sky or ground. And so if your ground is just kind of boring, an easy way to make it look good is just to pour water on it. Walks in, Jackie passes you the thing, you come down, turn it on. But like even when you guys turn it on, like put your headphones on, do a look at each other. Good concepts are ones that you can say within one sentence, something that contrasts itself to make the listener want to watch that. That's where we started. In the concept, tougher for me to explain, but what if a band were to make a music machine that created the best song in the world? And camera set and action.
as the modulator came to life, even I pondered the limits of our creation. What if we could wield its power to shape emotions, to conjure pleasure and inspiration with a flick of the wrist?
Next up was cinematography. I got to work with cinematographer Nik Pilecki, and one of the exciting things part of this project, like we said before, we got to work with the Dezo anamorphic lenses. Setting is really important to the cinematography of your film, and when you're in the writing process, think of locations that could have interesting lighting or set pieces in order to progress the story a little bit more interestingly. Our film was set in a warehouse and a bar. Not only does a bar or restaurant or club have cool lighting, but you're also able to have club music in the background, loud ambience. So it is a more cinematic space versus shooting that same discussion maybe at their apartment. Try and use spaces with interesting practical lighting in order to enhance the actual space's lighting. If you're going into a beige, boring location, it's probably not going to translate to the vibe that you're trying to achieve. The slew of A24 films are typically shot in unique locations, and focusing on the location to use as your element for cinematography is going to go much further than just working with a good cinematographer. Cinematographer is only as good as the space they're working in, and same goes with the camera and lighting. Because we don't have an audience, and this looks like poop, what I think is we shoot low, we look at all this fun stuff, maybe we're just blasting the lens with just like lights flaring, we hear and then she's coming up on stage. We just look low up at her. She comes up.
Is the camera behind her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Comes up. We're just staring at all this grids and stuff.
Yep.
And then she hits and then the camera focuses on the tuning fork. She hits it. Movie ends.
Here, the backlighter, she comes in.
Backlit, flary, super smoky. I want to navigate to the editing of this project, talking about the post-production, because there's a couple stages that made this, I think, the film that it is. And that was kind of our inspiration from the get-go. Could you cut together a movie to feel like a 9 to 10 minute movie trailer versus a short film, meaning you're jumping scenes very quickly, establishing stuff as if it's already happened, and not doing much time to build the world. The audience is kind of getting pulled along with their short attention span.
We painted the air with frequencies of ecstasy.
Another element to talk about for the post-production is the visual effects. There was two cool things that we got to do on this. The one was I got to work with my buddy Prakash, who did the visual effects. So Jackie ran outside in a snowstorm and jumped on this mini trampoline in front of a light. And jump as high as you can. Okay. Because I thought you could do some cool sun effect. And while I shot the practical element probably horribly, Prakash was able to make it like a big sun behind her and it looked awesome. And visual effects are shied away from on a lot of films because on a low budget can look bad. But if you know a good VFX person, it's not crazy expensive to add the sun exploding behind your actor. But then I also implemented a cool practical element from my buddy Chris, who does these neat cymatic effects. If you can go check him out onto his Instagram page, it's called Seeing Into the Unknown. Chatted with Chris. We got him to shoot these interesting little effects. Basically, it's water on a speaker and then a light pointed at the water. It's like a regular light. He has a Patreon. You can learn how to make these videos. And then the base moves the water into these geometric patterns. It's wild. It's crazy. So he hopped on board, created those, and then we implemented that into like the drug trip experience because I want to have like some sort of practical representation of this that worked.
It moved in a way I couldn't stop.
And then the other thing in post-production that went a bazillion miles was the color grade that we got done by our buddy Clinton. Knocked it out of the park, created this beautiful contrasty look. I can't talk much about the color grade because I didn't do it, but comparing my rough version of the color grade to his final version of the color grade goes so far. It really does pay for having a good colorist because it doesn't matter what camera you're shooting it on, they can usually make a GoPro look excellent. So imagine what they can do with a Sony FX3. They make it look like an RE. Oh, and then let's swing over to sound design. So the sound design on this project was done by my buddy Joshua Hemming. I've worked with him on almost every single short film that I've made. Absolutely talented dude. And I think something to think about for sound design is like, how does it emphasize the visuals? And you watch through the movie how these things do this. Obviously, all the sound effects are created in post. None of the sounds of the machine or even some of their breathing and all these little intricacies like birds chirping, the humming of the machine, how the music weaves in, that's all in post sound. Now, I can't dive too far into that because that's a whole other rigmarole. If you're trying to make a film that is ambitious, don't let the ambition stop you. There are tons of tools out there in order to achieve said ambition. If you guys want to see that example, Rogue Wave will be released very soon, and I'm so excited for you guys to see it.
This delicate balance of power is at stake.
So when we were shooting the film, we also had this spy thriller to shoot because this is what I promised the lens company Dizio that we would shoot. So at the end of day 2 of filming Rogue Wave, we went into the basement of this big warehouse, Evil Empire, and we shot the spy thriller that paid for our movie, doing 2 shoots in one. And I'm so amazed by the team. There was this very minimal direction. We went in, guns blazing, and I was actually very proud with how that project turned out. To be honest, it was a lot of fun making a project that you just was like, okay, let's get this shot and this shot. Is very like spur of the moment, all pieced together. It was beautiful.
This communication is of the utmost urgency. You've been selected for a critical mission codename Operation Anamorphic.
Also, if you're interested in any things that I'm talking about in this video, like the Pavo anamorphic lenses, the short film Rogue Wave, or how to do this stuff, you can go look at some links in the description, teach you, talk to you, show you all of the things on the internet, everywhere, all at once. Jackie's got to listen to her pre-Taylor Swift before doing our interview.
Post-game interview.
So how was the game?
Tough one out there, but we did our best, and we're going to take it home.
Like, what's it like working on a Zach movie, or just like these like very quickly done films?
They're quickly done, but they're well thought through. It's really nice as an actor because we build our films oftentimes around parts of myself. We take pieces of me and kind of inject that into the film, so it's easy for me to perform them, I think.
Something like across the board with any project you make, it's like work with what you already have. Yeah. Makes, of course, we want to go beyond our limits, but if you work with a production designer who owns a big black truck, maybe use their big black truck and use the cool props that they have versus going outside of that. I think it goes to actors too. It's like, if you're able to find someone who can channel something that's closer to them, especially on an indie timeline and an indie script and stuff that's not as polished as, let's say, a Hollywood or Oscar-worthy thing, it makes it a lot easier, especially in a short time frame.
When we turn the machine on, you're going to feel a little rock, so it's important to keep your feet grounded on the floor. I'm going to place these headphones on your ears, and all you have to do is surrender to the experience.
Also, the actors get really excited when they get the opportunity to do a part that's like them, that like really plays to their strengths. So you get actors.
Shawshank Redemption sucks.
Why'd you have to ruin it?
I don't know why people think it's a good.
Always ruin these interviews by saying that Shawshank's not that good. You know it's a good movie. You know it's a good movie.
Okay, but is it like Barbie and the Swan Lake Princess? Is it as good as that?
No one can.